Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of On the Verge, the conservative voice of Southern Oregon, and frankly, we think it's the best podcast in the whole state, maybe the country.
That's right.
Today's April 21st, 2026, and we've got an interesting guest with us today. We're gonna get to that in just a few minutes. I want to thank everybody for coming back and watching us. We appreciate the support. Our numbers are still trending well. And we love what we do, and the intent of this program, of course, is to bring the government to the people, so you understand, so everybody can understand how government really works. And of course, we're a little bit on the conservative side here. I am Virgil Osborne. I'm your House District 2 representative, and I'm a Republican. So this is our podcast, and there are some folks that don't like the conservative speak that we have, and that's okay. We always tell them the same thing: please turn us off. Don't listen to us. You can come down here and see Justin at Little Mill Media, and he will put together a podcast for you that is not conservative, if that's what you want. So, but if you like what we have to say, thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for coming back. We sure appreciate that. Really quick, I want to introduce our guests, and then I want to touch on a few sponsors. And my guest tonight is Dan Farrington, and Dan is running for House District 17, and I'm sure you guys all know this name. That's Ed Deal's old position. And Dan, give us a little rundown of who you are and what you're up to.
Well, again, Dan Farrington. So I was born and raised in Newport, Oregon, and went to school in Eugene, and moved to Salem in '93. And now my wife and I live in Sublimity, which is in the House District 17. I've been a business owner for 20 plus years. And I've been a high school baseball, basketball coach for 45 years. So pretty active in the community as far as working in chambers and public policy and that type of thing. But yeah, I at the point now is that we need someone that has business background like Ed was, and I'm trying to follow his coattails in the House District 17 to do a great job of supporting the people in the Canyon and House District 17. So
right on. Well, big shoes to fill, because Ed did a fantastic job, and we're going to miss Ed in the House. When he's governor, though, that's okay. I'm sure we'll see him daily in the House. So, also to my left here is my co-host, Trent. Trent, let everybody know who you are.
I'm still Trent Drake. I am the chair for the Douglas County Republican Central Committee and Virgil's campaign manager. Cool. And we've been together since the beginning.
We have since the day.
And I'm a local business owner also.
Yep. Since the day we started, since the day we decided that I should go be in politics.
That's right.
So
what were you thinking?
I don't know. It's been a good ride, though. I'm enjoying it. And I honestly, this podcast has been a real community outreach for us, and it's been nice. I mean, we were just down at an event, Looking Glass Brewery, this last weekend. I don't know what, 20 people, different people came up and said, "Hey, we love the podcast. Thank you guys for what you do." You know, we don't
asking who the tall guy was.
That was right. You know, and we don't do it for our egos. We do it because we want the public and our constituents and the people that live here. We want them to understand what really happens, you know, in politics. And frankly, you can't get what we have, the information that we have. You can't get it from the newspaper.
Right.
You can't get it from you know, news reports. But we can tell you exactly what's going on because I live it every day, and that's my intention. Real quick, I want to just touch on some of our sponsors, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But first off, I also want to say, Tracy Vandola, thank you for joining us again. Annette Perkins, I see you on there, and everybody should remember that you can ask questions, and this is a good time to do it.
That's right.
I'm sure Dan would probably be okay with answering some questions, and we are always happy to answer questions. Okay, so we have our sponsors, our Becky Holmes Insurance, Andrea Williams Advocare, Bob Murray Trucking, Commissioner Chris Boyce, who's running again for re-election. He's been a great advocate and sponsor of our program as well. Senator David Brock Smith, Looking Glass Brewery, our newest sponsor, and I think you can see their sign up here on the wall. We had Mark on with us, Mark Nunley, the owner, on with us last week. Super great people. Probably the best beer. I always say it's the best beer in Oregon, but I'd rank it right up there at the top of the, if you're a beer drinker, it's probably right up there at the top of everything in the country. Also, Twin Peaks Off-Road, that's my company, so I guess I'll always be a sponsor of our event. Little Mill Media, who puts us on for us. They're the guys on the other side of the camera looking back at us. Podcasts are kind of complicated. They're not simple. at least to me, I'm not a computer nerd. So we decided a year ago when we started this thing, we can either do it like it's a real thing, or we could do it half-ass. And we decided to go ahead and do it like it's a real thing. Also, recently, Spider King Studios has also helped out with this as well. I see Jake running around here tonight, but haven't seen him in a little bit. But anyway, so with all that said, Trent, you have anything before we go into beating up on Dan?
Murray.
Oh, did I miss Bob Murray? I don't.
Did
Oh
you
my
say
God!
Bob Murray?
I thought I did. I think I said Bob Murray
did?
trucking. Bob,
Game Bramage.
yeah, Bob would kick my butt if I didn't mention
That's
him.
right.
So we're gonna talk about him here in a little bit after we do a few other things. Okay, so again, Tracy, thank you. This podcast is reaching a lot of people and educating them. Absolutely, that's our intent. Our reach is still. I noticed the reach is down on Facebook to around 700,000 that we're hitting over the 90-day analytics, but it's up on YouTube.
Right.
So I don't think we lost anybody. I think people are viewing it differently. And of course, we can't track the analytics for all of the Apple Music and Amazon Music and all the other podcasts. So we got 13 different podcast avenues you can watch us on. Let's see, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube. I mean, the list goes on. And that's something that Little Mill Media does for us and helps us out quite a bit. So anyway, I am rambling. So what I want to do is I want to talk about Dan Farrington tonight, because this is his campaign, and our intention here is to get Republicans elected. That's first and foremost what we're concerned about. And I know, Dan, I'll tell you that Ed has said good things about you. I have a ton of respect for Ed Deal. He and I are friends. We go back a ways now. We both came into the House together. And there was no question in his mind who to support. So thank you for coming on our show tonight. And I'll start out with the first question. And I guess my first question is this: why politics?
Well, I never really thought about it. I started a business in 2002 from scratch with one employee, and we did independent medical exams for the workers' comp. And I was an owner trying to make a living, right? And in year 3, there was a House or Senate Bill 311 was thrown on the table, and I have 9 competitors in the state of Oregon that do these exams, and they wanted to change all the rules at the state level of what I did for a living. And so all of us met in Tigard, Oregon, around a table, all the owners of all the companies, and there was, I think, 6 national companies and 3 independents like myself in the room, and they said, hey, they got this bill. We need to build a coalition, and we need a lobbyist, attorney, and set up a board called the IMEA. And so we need to have a president and a treasurer and a secretary. And we went off in a room and said, who's going to do it? And as I was walking into the room, I had 3 people approach me and says, Dan, you have to be the president because we don't trust the other people. So we were in the room for a little bit. No one's making anything. I said, okay, I'll be the president. I said, I want the 2 people I knew, secretary and treasurer, and we're going to pick the lobbyist and the attorney that were in the other room. So it was supposed to be a 2-year term. I ended up doing it for 20 years, actually. So I went out and started meeting with all the state representatives and state senators, talking about this bill, Senate Bill 311, where they were saying that there was bias in the business of IMEs. The work comp division put this out, and all the doctors said, yeah, there's bias in it, but they never asked specific questions. So in my testimony at the MLAC board, Management Labor Board, we started asking specific questions like, what was the issues? And the doctors finally said, it was a general question. There is bias in the business, but it really is from the questions that were being asked us were biased, not us. And they were all pointing their fingers at the doctors. So we took that information, and then there was 3 injured workers that lived in Medford, and they didn't want to travel to Portland. Well, after conversations with them over 3 to 4 months, come out that they didn't have the money to go to Portland to do the exam, to travel to have the exams done. And when it's an independent medical exam, you really don't want to have the doctors that work in the same community do those exams, because you want it to be independent. So we would send doctors from Portland down to Medford. But that would cost a lot of money. So for those injured workers to go from Medford to Portland, it would cost $1,200. If I had to send the doctor down there, it would cost $10,000.
Wow.
So long story short, over the 6 months, we are able to reverse this whole bill in conversation that we would prepay the injured worker to travel to Portland. So that took that weight off them to come up with the money to travel there overnight and meals and have the IME done in Portland because it was a specialty doctor. And also we created what we called a coded conduct for the doctors to sign on when they became IME doctors. They do sign a coded conduct to be a physician, right? But the work comp division say, hey, would you guys be satisfied if we created this IME code of conduct? So we created that and totally reversed this bill to be a positive to help out injured workers, but also be able to do IMEs and keep everything the same. But there was a lot of conversations. There was a lot of presentations at the MLAC board. And as I was meeting with state representatives, state senators, they're going like, why are we even talking about this? Why do you even want to change? And I said, well, we have some people over at the MLAC board that think we need to change all the rules. So it made me aware that, hey, we need people that see big picture in businesses in the House, in the Senate. And and that motivated me to, as things progressed, to be in there. And so we were able to get this bill passed. And then in 2012, a friend of mine, Kevin Cameron, who's a county commissioner now, called me about 30 minutes before the deadline on a Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember, and said, Dad, we need someone to run House District 21. Are you interested? And so, okay, let's put my name in and see what happens. So
that was against Paul Evans, correct?
That one was against Brian Clem because that was in 2012 and it was House District 21. But then in 2020, there was some redistricting where my house all of a sudden became House District 20. And that's when I ran in 2022 against Paul Evans. And that's when I became actually good friends with Representative Ed Deal. So I've had a couple runs at it in very left-leaning houses, and but I moved the needle enough to make people nervous, which was always good.
It would not have broken my heart if you had beat Paul Evans. Trust me on that. Although I got to tell you, Paul is he is somewhat moderate on, at least on guns.
Sure.
You know, Paul and I we get along pretty well now, but we were a little rocky getting started, I think. So I think we had to draw the respect lines between us before we were able to actually kind of get along.
So now, I was just going to say, now moving out into sublimity in House District 17, I did let Ed know that if he ever did step down, I would be interested in running again, and this is kind of an area where I want to retire. So anyway, that led to where I'm at.
So are you still employed now, or you still have your business, or?
So my business started in 2002, and I made it through COVID, but I had to close the doors at the end of. I just couldn't rebound as an independent business. I didn't have the big pockets as the national companies, so I shut my doors on January 6th of 2023, and then I've been with a company called Barrett Business Services since March of 2023. So I'm in and out of small businesses from Woodburn to Roseburg, actually. And I'm meeting with small businesses about their payroll and HR and work comp, but also helping them with business development and actually how to make a living in this economy and how to overcome lots of the obstacles that we have, the overreach by our government, and trying to find them employees that actually want to work. So.
Well, it's good to hear that we have somebody running for that position that has business sense, because I know Ed certainly did.
Yeah.
And you know, you could really count on Ed for always taking the lead on business legislation. You know, legislation when you know, other than when the majority party was trying to run a bunch of bad legislation, which is almost always. So let's go on to business, since we're talking about business. So. My opinion, and I'll just say it like it is, I think the state is a dumpster fire right now when it comes to business. We are absolutely not business friendly. We're not friendly to friendly to anything except socialism at the moment, at least from our that's kind of a big statement. But how do we fix this? How in your opinion, how do you come into the House with a majority party that absolutely doesn't understand business and doesn't care? How do you fix this? And I say you because I want your best opinion of it. Of course, we work together, but how do you fix it?
Well, first of all, I think number one, we got to have a Republican governor, and I think that starts with the whole thing, and I think this is the year we have to have that, and to really open the eyes of our business community. I mean, like, we're 48th in the country and business friendly. We need to educate and talk about how bad some of these, like the cat tax. I mean, we have businesses here that are selling out. They've been 5-year generation companies selling out because of that tax, because they can't make a living. And I would find ways to change that up. Also, the overreach of regulations of people trying to develop, they want this affordable housing, but the overreach in the regulations in it is not allowing them to build houses that that are affordable. There's too many rules, and they're throwing everything on the contractor to build everything now. Actually, I met with a contractor this week. He goes, "I wish we could go back to the 1996 rules that they had, where where people work together, and it was not all thrown. The expense was not thrown on the contractor." Why do you think they're trying to build $300,000 houses and they can't do it because it's really costing them $450 to do it, because of all the rules and regulations and everything that to put into it. So I would really try to find ways that I can make us more business friendly, because again, when we become better economic in our businesses and they're successful, that those dollars are going to be able to pay for other things. And right now you're running everyone out of town, or having them close shop, or they sell it to a outside entity that's coming in and basically trimming it down to nothing. And so we have to say, hey, we want to welcome businesses, and how do we do that? And we, number one is the tax structure, and then the next thing is the regulations that we put on business owners and builders. And I grew up in Newport, and my dad was born and raised in Toledo, so I'm a Newport, Toledo guy, and seeing the lumber industry be decimated from an owl, and seeing the lumber. I paid my way through college working at GP paper mill and saw the lumber mill go away. Those are great opportunities for jobs, and we need to find ways to open up our forests so we can manage them again and be productive there. And find creative ways to get people back to work.
Interesting. I hear a lot of that. Of course, being from Roseburg, we used to be the timber capital of the world. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't think we're quite that anymore. But it's funny because I have a lot of, well, I don't say a lot, but a fair amount of very outspoken Democrats that live down here that are just absolutely anti-logging. And the thing about it is they throw out, well, we need new businesses here. We need other stuff to do. And I kind of go back. I'm like, yeah, we absolutely need new business here. But what is the desire to bring a business here when we have no industry and nobody wants to live here? There's no houses. There's nothing here. The city of Sutherland a year ago had 0 rentals in the entire city. And I think they've increased it by adding apartments now. But, it's tough to just take off in a different direction and try to bring in, everybody says, oh, tourism. Well, I'll tell you right now, we have Crater Lake, beautiful, beautiful scenery, and we have, the coast and what have you, but that doesn't make up for like 1 million board feet of lumber that goes through Roseburg Forest Products lumber mill every day, that pays wages and builds houses. You can't just kill the industry and expect the people that used it, and our county, was paid well from the trees harvested to actually pay for the services. And then I hear people all the time, they'll be like, well, we pay our property taxes. Well, property taxes don't even pay. In Douglas County, the property tax does not pay enough to cover the budget of the sheriff's department. I think it's like half the budget of the sheriff's department. If you take all of the property taxes Well, the answer to that, the Democrats want to do is they want to raise property taxes. They want to do away with the measure that stopped the property taxes from increasing, whatever, 2% a year, 3% a year. They want to take that away and raise the taxes. I'm going, to me, I always think, even when I was on planning commission, I used to tell all of my commissioners, I was the chair, I used to say, the decision that we make today may not matter today, but in 10 years from now, is it going to matter?
Right.
And it made people think, and I think that we don't have that in the House right now. We have a lot of, especially the majority party, they're just making decisions on what feels good at the moment.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I see a lot of their voting is emotional instead of logic and not really things that make sense. I mean, even in business, we're looking, you always look 3 to 4 years down the road. Where am I going to be at? How do I plan updating my equipment and all that type of stuff? And that takes money and growing your business. And when you have a state that says, we don't want you to be successful, I mean, to me, that bothers me, especially the cat tax bothers me so much that anybody that would tax you on your gross sales.
Yeah. Even if you didn't make a profit, you're still taxed.
Yeah. They have no idea how to run a business. If you really cut it out. I mean, I did a lot of presentations and actually I talked to my staff. I said, this is what things cost. And this is why we're successful. These are the things we need to do to be better. And I really got my employees to buy in to see where things went to and how they cost. And then, we need to educate our community about that. And unfortunately, a lot of people have deaf ears. They don't want to hear that. They just they see what you're getting and they want to find a way to take it.
Well, the problem with taxes, the problem with the cat tax, cat tax shouldn't be, but it does exist. And now that it's there, because my first year in the legislature in 23, I ran a bill to raise the ceiling on the cat tax to $5 million. At least help out the small businesses that are $1 million and between $1 million and $5 million wouldn't have to pay that 0.5% tax. I absolutely was blown away by the actual the financial liability that would have cost. And it was like in the neighborhood of $500 million deficit or something like that. If you just by raising it to $5 million, and interestingly, and of course that I don't think I got a hearing on that. Maybe I did, but Democrats killed it. But what I found out by doing that is that once that tax stream is set up, and of course, cat tax goes to schools. So once that dollar, that revenue stream is set up, it's almost impossible to take it away because people have to live on it. And the same thing happened in COVID. Our state was getting millions and millions of dollars from the federal government. And instead of agencies trying to maintain themselves and keep, auditing themselves, they kept growing because they had all this money coming in. And then all of a sudden, bam, there's no more federal money coming in. And so how are we going to keep our business and keep everybody employed? Well, we got to lean on the state to do it. And that's exactly what they've done. A lot of that's in the healthcare field, but that just comes back on taxpayers. And frankly, I'm sick of it. I think states should have agencies should have accountability, and we could go into that for a long time.
But we need to be excited that businesses want to come and wanting to be successful. And I just think they're not making it. They're not excited about us being successful, and they're really putting us down. And I think that's where we need to change that type of attitude. So.
Well, and view this from a point of the more business we have here, the more tax base they can pull from. And unfortunately, they don't view it that way. They figure just, I don't understand it. I guess just tax business is to the point where they won't come. I saw a little blurb today on Intel. Intel's not doing well. Some of our largest businesses in Oregon, and I've said this in the past, heaven forbid, if Nike, what happens at that point? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of really large businesses in Oregon, not a lot. There's a few left, and they are, I'm sure they, just like Dutch Brothers. Yep. Dutch Brothers did a survey. They didn't just move to Arizona. They surveyed, I want to say, 5 different states of potential places to move to, and they settled on where they moved to. And so it doesn't happen in a vacuum. That happens out of the reality of affordability and plus jobs, right? I mean, you have to be able to find the workers to do the job. So we're going to take a real quick break here and just kind of talk about our sponsors real quick for a few minutes. And I'll go first.
Go first.
I have our sponsor, Andrea Williams, and she just gave me a new ad. So spring cleaning isn't just for your home. If you're feeling extra snappy at your spouse or kids these days, think you need to snack all day to stay awake, crash midday, cravings for crappy foods, feeling like you're always bloated or just don't feel like yourself anymore, that's your body talking. It's time for a spring cleaning, a gut check. Andrea Williams with the Advocare helps you reset from the inside out, starting with gut health, better nutrition, and simple daily habits that last. No crash diets, no extremes. Message Andrea Williams, Advocare distributor, on Facebook to help you get started, or go to her site, healthyhabittribe.org. And again, she's a good friend of ours, and she's a great sponsor, and I use the product. So do that for sure. Trent, you got one?
I do. This is for Bob Murray Trucking. Before we go any further, though, I want to say, Kimmy Murray, happy birthday.
Oh, heck, happy birthday.
Yeah, and Bob and Kimmy, today is also their anniversary.
Really?
Yeah, he said, ask him later for more marriage advice. So, Bob Murray Trucking hauls 1 million pounds of earth every single day, whether it's lumber, logs, rock, all kinds of building materials. They even haul hay or alfalfa, for ranchers. They have an A-Train Maxus for the full 32-ton load. That's a big load. And he just says, you call, we haul. Bob Murray Trucking.
Well, we appreciate Bob. He's a great Republican, conservative, and helps out with our events. And that's, I think, one of the things a lot of folks don't understand is the Republican Party thrives on the ability to bring the community into it and help out with what we do. And Bob's kind of a pillar.
Yes,
so
he is. Actually, we're going to be with him next Thursday.
Yeah.
At the Umpqua Valley Women Republican event.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I also have Becky Holmes. Becky helps people with Medicare. Yep. She helps people with Marketplace. Yeah. She does life insurance too. And she does dental insurance, hospital indemnity, short-term care policies, and cancer policies. Did you know that 33% of people will, at some point, be diagnosed with cancer? Precision Care Cancer Insurance goes beyond conventional coverage, providing essential cash payments and granting you access to TGen's world-class genomic sequencing. This comprehensive approach is designed to enhance your chances of overcoming a cancer diagnosis. Call my friend, Becky, for all your personal insurance needs. She's helped me. She has with my wife especially. And she can help you too. Call 541-900-6001. That's 541-900-6001.
You said genomics and you didn't even spit this time.
I know. I actually got that whole thing out. And when you're actually not watching us on YouTube, we probably don't sound that bad.
No, I don't think we do.
So,
we went to the same high school, so when we get big words like that, we're impressed.
I'm going to talk about Looking Glass Brewery for a minute.
Let's do it.
Looking Glass Brewery is our newest sponsor and one of my favorite companies and some of my favorite people. They're in Winston, Oregon. Looking Glass Brewery, Mark is an amazing brewer, and he's a retired NASA guy, so he's pretty smart too, which I'm not sure why. Well, maybe you have to have beer after you retire from NASA. I don't know. But he's done some amazing things for the community as well. Honestly, they have made Winston thrive again in some ways because of the amount of turnout that they get for just that restaurant. And you and I were there this weekend. It was crazy busy. They were doing a 10-year anniversary, and God, there must have been 200 or 300 people there. I don't know. There's a lot of people there. So thank you, Mark and Lydia, both for being sponsors for this. And we love you guys. You guys are just awesome.
And they're a perfect example of what a small business should be.
Mm-hmm.
They're active in the community. Every time we do an event, they're like, Champagne Creek. Yeah. They are there.
That's true. Yeah. My nonprofit, Champagne Creek, I don't think we could have an event without Looking Glass Brewery. It just wouldn't feel right. Those guys they bring the beer and they're always there. Also, Twin Peaks Off-Road, that's my company. We're a sponsor, technically. If you ever need anything with your 4x4, we specialize in drivetrain work and particularly transfer cases, transmissions, front ends, rear ends, and for that matter, we even get involved in winches, bumpers, accessories, lift kits, you name it, we do it, and just about all vehicles. We've worked on some really crazy things, like some of the, what is that thing that they drive around in Africa, Land Rover, something like that, an older one. I worked on that one time, and some larger pickups, bigger trucks as well. So call us today, 541-900-0015, if you have any off-road needs or 4x4 needs, or if you just want to build your Jeep to go to the mall, that you have to look good. And we can make that happen for you. We can get you some really cool stuff. Also, Commissioner Chris Boyce, who's been a great supporter and very conservative, of course. He's running for office again, and we support him and endorse him. So thank you, Commissioner Boyce. And Senator David Brock Smith, he's out there running against Jeff Merkley.
Right.
And I know that a federal position like he's running for is a tough pull. We wish him the best, and we're there for him whenever we can be. And thank you, David, if you're watching tonight. I'm sure you're out there beating the pavement, because you have been literally like all over the state for the last, 2 months. So thank you for what you're doing, and good luck to you. Little Media, which I already mentioned, they are the guys making us look good. They got a lot of work to do, but they're trying.
Yeah. As long as they're making me look taller than you, good, man.
And Spider King Studio, we thank them as well for what little help they've given us as well. And okay, so I've gotten through my sponsors now, I think. Did I miss anybody?
You did good, man.
We got Bob Murray.
Yeah, we got Bob
That's
Murray.
important, yeah.
You said happy birthday. Good thing we just didn't sing.
We don't need to sing.
Yeah, I know.
That would be bad. I want to go back to Dan. Dan, I'm gonna run some other things by you. I don't know if you want to touch this one or not, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. DEI. So in Oregon, as you know, because I'm sure any business owner, you've probably seen it, but Oregon, especially the legislature, thrives on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't think anybody in the minority party, myself included, can stop it unilaterally, individually. We can't stop the practices that they do, but give me your opinion on DEI. Where are you at on it?
Well, I'm against it. I know it, it demands equal outcomes and that type thing, and no one wins. I mean, they want everything to be equal for everyone, and that's not the way we're built. And especially in the Republican Party, being a coach for 45 years, best players play. And again, we need to coach up the ones that are weaker, but in any type of program, you the best players, that's what you're going to put out in front. And
if you want to win, and that's the way we have to look at it in business. I mean, if we're average going in, guess what? You're always going to be average. And we want people to excel, and we should be proud of those people that excel and be supporting them. And I think that's, to me, when I hear this, I'm going like, that doesn't make sense at all. And so I'm totally against it. It's almost like I call it a participation trophy mentality, where people get a participation trophy just for showing up. When I was in school, we sure didn't.
Yeah, but you're trying to motivate people to work harder, people to be successful, and we start washing that out. We're not going to have that's in Oregon, we want people to be very successful. I mean, I want my competitors, when I want them to be great, because I'm striving for the same things, and I just don't see it. I don't see why average is okay, and I want people to be successful, and I'm totally against it, and it's sad that we've come to that, right? I mean, we want those people to strive, and where they need to be striving, the best people be in front. I mean, today I went and interviewed kids at Regis High School here in Staten about being the Rotary of the year and giving them a scholarship. Guess what? 4 of them came down to 4. We interviewed 4, and who was the best? And I love that. They're all great candidates. They're all striving to be the best, but we picked one person, and we felt it was the best person for that position and to receive it. And
I think we've
when you get away from that, you struggle. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think we've made people soft. You know, I mean, and the other thing it does, it really hurts business because for instance, the governor in last long session, at the beginning of session, she did an executive order to require union labor on all ODOT projects, all over Oregon, Southern Oregon, the rural projects as well. Of course, that the judge thankfully undid that, right? So that wasn't constitutional. But by doing that puts DEI out front. So you have a small business, with maybe, say, I don't know, 6 employees down here in rural Oregon, and they want to do some ODOT road work, which they can be contracted out to do. They wouldn't meet the minimums unless they have minorities and, or special interests, whatever it is. They wouldn't have met the minimums. So they would have had to have contracted that work out from Portland or from urban areas where they could actually get the work. And I just don't, it's frankly, it's anti-American, but I don't think our governor cares one bit about the Constitution. I don't think she ever has. I think she cares about special interests, and she cares about, her personal life. And I won't beat her up too bad on that.
Well, but they're doing it in schools that they're lowering the bar for people to, and just want them to be minimum. We're not challenging kids to be the best that they can be. And that's the accountability and expectations. And when you lower the bar, we're getting what we're getting right now is because we've lowered the bar.
Yeah. Do you have anything on that?
Well, I like how he said that. One of my favorite books is by John Wooden, and he said, he always talked about coaching. You had to expect greatness out of your athletes. As someone who's coached also in the physical training world, that's what I tell them. I'm going to bring the best part of you out of you. You may not like me after that, but you're going to be a lot better than you were.
Yeah, recently I've been watching on YouTube and actually listening to some programs about Navy SEAL training. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you those boys don't get a participation trophy. It's like either make it or you ring the bell and you get, or you die trying. Yeah. But listening to some of those Navy SEALs that have been retired, they just come out winners. Yeah. And they paid for every step to get there. Nobody gave them special treatment. It doesn't matter if they were black, white, Chinese, whatever. It doesn't matter. They had to work to get there, and then they learned team skills along the way.
Right.
But I think kids want it, and that's the problem. I think kids want that expectation. They want that accountability, and we're not giving it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're geared to compete. There's people say, "Well, I'm an introvert." That's because someone told you that. It's not because
you've been allowed to be an introvert.
Yeah.
If you were all on your own, you had to feed yourself. You'd find a way to be an extrovert to go get a job.
Right. I'll never forget the first time. I grew up on a ranch and we rodeoed. First time my dad put me on a calf, I was scared to death. Now,
on a calf?
On a calf. I was a little kid.
Yeah.
My mom I'll show you a picture at my mom's house sometime of it. Now, I will tell you, I did not graduate to bulls. That taught me that calf riding and bull riding was not my snappy things to do. But I did find that I loved to team rope with my dad, and I didn't get to do it long enough in my life. But it was competitive, and it created that adrenaline that an athlete has.
Yeah.
And I translated that into my athletic career, in high school and beyond.
Listen, I played high school sports and went to college, played basketball. I mean, I get it, right? Frankly, that's a really good comparison because when you're in high school and you're the best basketball player in the team and you're, first team or second team all league, get to college, it's like you may not be you're not the biggest dog in the room. There's guys that hit harder, run faster, and you got to work.
Yeah.
And participation trophies don't matter because if you're going to get a scholarship, you got to work at it. I want to change subjects here real quick because I think it's a very important subject in Oregon. We've talked about this on the show before. I want to talk about homelessness, and I want to get your opinion on, first off, why we have the problem, right? And second off, what your ideas are to potentially address the problem. And I'm not even going to say fix the problem because I think it's so out of control. Fixing it's going to require a fundamental change of the way we do government. But go ahead.
Actually, that's one of my biggest things that I want to bring to the legislature. Right now, I mentor men at the Union Gospel Mission of Salem, and these men come off the streets and go through an 18-month program to get back into society. Number one. Two, I'm on the board for what they call Be Bold Street Ministries, and these men and women are going to homeless camps and getting people off addiction into homes that are actually challenging them to be productive in society, to retrain them to do that. Also, I'm on the board for Valor Mentoring, that's mentoring men that are 6th grade and up on being a father in their household and being the leader and training them how to do that and mentoring them along that. So by saying that, I think right now we spend way too much money at trying to give someone a house and think that they're going to change. They're not. A lot of these people, they go into homelessness, they don't want 4 walls. They'll damage the 4 walls. In Salem, they gave them the Motel 8, and the first thing they did is they pound the walls in. Yeah. And then they had a place where they had several that OD'd in them because they didn't know what to do. So I look at it, there's 4 different types. There's a mental illness that we've let them out of the Oregon hospital, state hospital. These people need to be, the best thing for them is to be in the hospital and take care of them. That's how you take care of people that are mentally ill. They cannot function out in the public at all. So we need to do a better job of finding facilities that will be able to hold them and be able to treat them in those facilities. Then you have the ones that are addicted to different types of drugs or alcohol or whatever they're addicted to. We need to get them through a program that's going to get them clean, but then put them in housing that's going to mentor them to get back into society. And a lot of these people need to be trained on how to get back into society, how to get their kids back, how to work, how to hold down a job and stay clean for a period of time. And then you have the people that are there because they can't make ends meet. They can't afford an apartment. They can't afford this, and they're right on the verge. Those are the people we really should be helping, to help them make sure that they have.
And I think that's the biggest growing right now. Well, maybe not the biggest, but that's a large part of the growing homelessness issue. People are living one paycheck away from being homeless anyway. Right. And we have, frankly, the price of real estate and the cost of rent in Oregon have gone crazy, just like California did in the 80s. And to me, it goes back to the root problem of it's a inventory issue. We don't have the rentals. If you all of a sudden take the city of Roseburg and tomorrow we had 200 more rentals available than we had yesterday, those rentals are going to be price competitive because they have to be, because the people who want to rent their houses for, say, $2,000 a month, they may have to come down to $1,000 a month to be able to rent their house because there's so many available out there. I think it's a push and pull thing. There's just a lot of issues with it.
Right. And then you have the ones that just want to be homeless. They don't want to follow the rules. And so I think you have to, in each community, and I've heard this from other people, but my plan, like for Salem, would be to find a location where we fenced an area in, and that's where you camp, and that's your home if you want it to be your home, but you can't be downtown. And Salem is a mess. And
Salem is, and usually the governor cleans all that stuff up during a campaign, election year, but she sure hasn't this year.
Yeah. And, but you look at, here's a great example. Here you have the Eugene Gospel Mission, and it's faith-based, and they have 75 beds on the 3rd floor. And if you go through this New Life Fellowship program, it's 18 months, and it basically gets them clean, gets them a job, gets them their GED, gives them some counseling and different things, and help them get back onto their feet and get back productive in society. There's only 20 to 25 people in that. And then downstairs,
that says a lot.
And there should be packed. There should be a line out the door for that. And then you have 300 people that feed every day. But across the street, you walk across the street, and you have a place called Arches that gives everything for free, and they can do drugs in the parking lot. Right. And then you have across the street the police station that watches all this, that can't do anything about it because they're under the catch and release law.
Well, the legislature has basically neutered our police departments and and our law enforcement.
Yeah, and until we can change all that, I think there is a combination of those type of things, allowing our police officers to do their job. Let's make those people that do stuff accountable. They have a thing called a jail that might help them learn something over a weekend or those type of things. But
jail causes harm, unnecessary harm. So.
Well, and accountability. I mean,
yeah,
we don't have to be accountable for anything anymore, and that's ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question, because this was something that was said to me. There's a local Democrat gal here who hates my guts, and I don't even know why. I've probably had maybe 3 conversations with her. I think she hates me because I'm a Republican, I guess. I don't know. What she really wanted me to be was a good old boy, and then when I think somebody finally explained to her that my nationality is not exactly white and I'm not a good old boy, whatever. But in a meeting that I had here, it's been over a year ago now, but with her, and unfortunately she was there. I didn't know she was going to be there, but with some local advocacies for LGBTQ folks and some other things, she kind of ruined some of the meeting by saying to me that, well, you know, if your party can't fix this homeless problem, my party can, and we're the majority party. And I'm thinking, well, your part, I don't argue back in meeting settings like that, but I'm thinking to myself, your party's the one that created this mess. Maybe you should tell your party to get off their ass and fix it. But her next thing that she said to me was, the state of Oregon has plenty of money to put all of these people in houses, and they have plenty of money to feed them. So why are we just letting them sit out there and, in a tent? And I'm thinking to myself, my response to her, because she was running a meeting that I was having, I didn't respond to her on that issue. I responded to her on I said to her, you and I are done talking. We're not going any farther with this. But if you had to respond to that, what would you say?
Well, I would, first of all, not every homeless person wants a house. And we have mental illness issues that people, if we really care about people that are mentally ill, it's better to have them in a facility where they're controlled environment and medicated and where they have food and all that. We need to have that for that piece of those people. But the addiction piece is what bothers me, is that we get people clean. We have all these services, from the meth to the every type of drug or alcohol, whatever. We get them clean, but then we have no plan for them where to go when they're clean.
Right.
And we have to find housing for them where we can mentor them getting back into society. I'll give you a great example. There's a gentleman that I mentored at the UGM. At 14, he lived in Coos Bay. He ran away from home. He was in every prison in the Northwest and was dumped off at the UGM at 41. Then I came alongside of him, and he did not want to follow the rules. He wondered why the UGM was so structured. And for 6 months, we walked along each other, just talking about why they have you in a box right now. Until you build confidence in them and trust in them to get outside that box, that's when they're going to release some of the things that they're trying to train you to do.
Right.
And it's faith-based. So I'm talking about God with him. He goes, I don't want to hear anything about God, Dan. That's not what I just don't like all the rules. And then that 6 months, he gave his life to Christ, and he changed completely from a dark to light. And in the next 12 months, our conversations were incredible. And we started to realize that we need to how do we get at the next steps after that 18 months? What am I going to do?
Right.
And then I was mentoring him on how to work. And then they put him in charge of the kitchen at the UGM when he graduated. Now he's asking me, how do I communicate to other people to get them motivated to work? We need people that are mentors in our community to come alongside these people and help them. And it's not a quick fix. It's not hey, let's give them multiple $1 million and say, hey, it's going to be fixed overnight. Takes time.
Yeah.
And three years past graduation, him and his wife, who was from the Samaka house, it's just like the UGM in the Salem area, got married. She has a full-time job working for the state. He runs a bread route. They bought their first home in Sweet Home, and
Nice.
very successful. And he goes around now and mentors and tells his story how he got there, but it took time. It was not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 6 months. It's not going to happen in a year. It's going to be it's a lifelong thing. But the goal is to continue to have these people be directed in that and have people come alongside them. I always tell them, you guys got to change all your friends, because the friends you have around are bad influences.
Yeah.
And so we have to do a better job of educating the people when you see $200 million going to housing for them and say, hey, they're going to change when they get in the house, that's a lie. It doesn't happen.
Right.
And I've seen it and witnessed it, and I know that we need to invest a little bit in a different way than what we're doing now. And that's what I'm going to talk about when I get there.
There was a movement, and it has been since I've been in the legislature, to start paying out $1,000 a month. I've heard to homeless people. All they have to do is go get their check from wherever, because it's going to help them get on their feet. And the city of San Francisco did it. I don't know what they're up to now. They were at $750 per homeless person. They may well be $1,000 at this point. And I'm pretty sure that has attracted more homeless people and that has helped, because why wouldn't you take the free money? And I just, they're going to shoot it up their arm or whatever they're going to do with it.
Yeah. My dad always says, when you give somebody something for free, they want more.
Yep.
Well,
and that's where we're at.
I was telling a story to my chief of staff here a couple weeks ago. We were talking about rentals, and I sold all my rentals now, but I had some, and I had a tenant that moved into one of my rentals that she was pretty young, but she had claimed that she had something had happened to her in boot camp or whatever, so she was looking for full disability from the Army, I think it was. Well, she ended up getting it. She got her back pay, and it was a fair amount of money, $30,000, $35,000, whatever. First thing she did, went down to buy a brand new car, and it was back when the Dodge Chargers were the hot ticket, And the next thing they did was go completely broke, right? I mean, and not pay their rent. And it's like, it didn't, and then they had to move out. And it's like, if you don't work for it, you just don't respect it. And that's what happens when people are given free. How many lottery winners can you look at and go, oh, the guy had $10 million last year. This year he's homeless, or this year he doesn't have anything. I mean,
see the stats is like 98% go broke.
Yeah. You got to give people incentive. They got to have the will to be successful or to move forward. It doesn't work with everybody. Some people have physical conditions that can't.
But it's a true statement. I've heard this for years. You'll become the person you'll become 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Based on two things: the people you associate with, and the books you read.
I've heard that too. I've heard the books part. Now I listen to all the books online.
Well, nowadays it's that's kind of a different thing. But it's what you read or listen to. But you hang out with crooks, you become a crook.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. I'm actually listening to a Zig Ziglar, one of the best of Zig Ziglars. I've been in sales my whole career, and so I've either read or listened to Zig for years.
You said that.
Yeah, and so I'm listening to. I think I'm on chapter 5 of 11 right now. I listen to it while I'm in the shop. I mean, every day I put something into my head that's positive. I listen to Motivation Daily by Motiversity. Navy SEALs talk about the effort it takes to get to be a Navy SEAL, and different celebrities have gone on there and talked about. I just think it's important to try to always better yourself. I think when you give up that's when things go really bad. That's why when people retire sometimes early and then don't have anything to do, they die.
Yep.
At 65 or 70 years old, and because they're just like, they gave up. I don't have time to give up. I'll sleep. I got time to sleep when I die.
Yeah. Only one guy died of lack of sleep when he was a video game player, and he didn't sleep for like 8 days, and he died. So video games are not the thing.
Well, Dan, we're coming down to the end of our hour, and I always like to give you a last opportunity, if you're campaigning, to kind of throw out your pitch and tell us how people can donate to you and where they can contact you. So go ahead and do that if you would.
Sure. So Dan Farrington, running for House District 17. My website is Farrington for Oregon. That's where you can go online and learn all about me, and if you want to donate. that's always great. But being a business guy, I really want to make sure that we make businesses positive in our community and peel back all these taxes and regulations so we can be successful, because people want to achieve, but we keep holding them back. Let's peel it back and let's allow them to be successful and create jobs, create income and wealth. And that's okay to do. And the other thing is in education, making sure that all of our fourth graders can read at that level, because that's our future. We got to realize we need to invest more in our kids, and we're not doing that. And when you lower the bar for kids, they're going to stay under the bar. But when you have high expectations for kids, they're going to do it. And I think we need to do a better job in our education. And then also the homelessness, I've already showed my passion about that. It's sad to watch. And when you see transformation from dark to light, which I've witnessed several times, we can do it. We just have to invest in it in that sense. And we're not doing that. Also public safety. We need to support our police officers and our sheriffs and making sure that they are able to do their job, but they're trained to do. And accountability is a big deal. And we need to make people responsible for their actions. And if they need to go to jail, they need to go to jail. But we need to financially support them too. Also our firefighters. I mean, our firefighters are always having to do different bonds to help keep them in working, and we need to support them. I know my district, we need to help all the fire department. We have in Sublimity where I live, there's only 3 full-time people, 2 chiefs in administration, and 45 volunteers. We got to make sure that they have the finances to be able to cover and protect our city and our canyon. And Staten is putting up a bond too to keep 9 guys on available for 24-hour service. It's very important that we support those services, and those are things I'm going to fight for. We have a lot of other things in this canyon that we're dealing with this year, and I'm a big advocate of supporting our community and working hard and helping people be successful. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm running. My wife and I, we raised 6 kids. They're all married. They're 3 in Oregon and 3 spread out the United States, and we have 8 grandkids. And we're not going to sit in our lounge chair in our older age. We're going to go out and try to make a difference in our community. And
there you go.
That's what I'm about. So
one thing I think I've learned, this is the first time we've actually really spoke, and I think I might have met you at a fundraiser or something, but one thing I really like about you is you really seem genuine, and I think that I think that's something you find a lot in the Republican Party, more so than the Democrat Party. I'm picking on Democrats now, but that's okay. It's my show. So thank you for being genuine and sharing your time with us tonight. Trent, you got anything you want to close with? We got some events coming up.
We do. We've got the Umpqua Valley Women Republican Party event next week at the Country Club. There's a few chairs left. You're going to have to contact them. They're separate from the Republican Party. They're a club. And
Ed Deal will be there.
Ed Deal will be the guest speaker. We have our Celebrate America event on June 27th. There's only a few of the president tables left. Bob Murray graciously has paid up to be our head table. What a great guy.
Am I sitting with Bob?
Huh?
Am I sitting with Bob at that? I don't remember.
No, next week? Yeah, I think you are.
Yeah.
I think so. Or no, one of them, you're sitting somewhere.
It's fine. I know I'll be there.
Yeah, and then this Saturday from 11 to 3, we're going to have a Celebrate America celebration on the courthouse yard at Douglas County Courthouse from 11 to 3. Come join us, wave a flag. We're going to have a couple speakers. It's going to be a good time.
Good deal. That's going to be a good event.
Yeah.
I also just want to touch base real quick. I have people all the time that have no idea what I do for, as a legislator. They have no idea what I do for a living, whatever. But they ask, well, you're not in session, so you guys don't have to do anything, right? For the next, you just hang out and, whatever. It's like, well, I'll tell you, it doesn't work that way. Aside from the fact my phone blows up most days, every day, all day, and sometimes all night. I am working on some stuff right now, and I'm going to take the credit for this. My chief of staff's actually sitting behind us over here, and she's going to probably throw something at me. But we are working right now currently on 3 different bills. We have a bill, interestingly enough, in consumer commerce and consumer protection. Yeah. Bye, Trent. We're working on a bill that addresses the ADAS systems, which I didn't even realize and never thought about it. But when it's advanced data something systems, and for cars. So if back and that is damaged, and this could be your sensor on your front bumper that the radar looks forward and backwards and sideways or whatever. There is no requirements right now for insurance companies to pay for genuine equipment. And I had a body shop approach me and say, well, you know, if you're using, you know, Chinese made or whatever, or used parts, that doesn't fit the bill. And we need, so we're looking at that. We'll probably have a hearing on that. I already talked with our chair. I think we'll have a hearing on that coming up in legislative days. Also, we're looking at a bill that criminalizes, because you can't do it right now, which is just amazing to me. But if a child predator, online predator, it goes after a child in a way that's a felony, it doesn't work if the child's 16 or older. It only happens when they're under 16, and I want to raise that to 18. So, which I can't believe it's not. So I was approached by the police department here in Myrtle Creek, and we've got some work to do on that. But you know, I mean, frankly, if you're a 16-year-old girl and some old man's hitting on you online or whatever, should be just as strong a penalty as if you were 14 or 12. You know, it's just disgusting. So working on that as well. What else do I have? Working on a bill that would put some transparency to veterinary clinics, and being able to work alongside of nonprofits, and you know, some of that kind of stuff. So we're very busy right now. But the reason I bring it up is because I want to tell everybody that's watching, now is the time. If you have legislation, or if you have ideas, or if you have something you just want to talk about, now's the time, because we're not in session. Between now and probably August, we're going to be writing bills. We're going to be looking at upcoming bills. And I mean, it could be something as simple as changing an ORS. I don't know. But if you're interested and you want to talk, my number is available. You can get a hold of me by email. You can get a hold of me online. I mean, there's tons of ways to get a hold of me. Please do so, because it's important to me that I hear the voices of our constituents and our people that live here. To that end, I've also asked for a meeting with some of the local LGBTQ folks, and some of the homeless advocacy folks. Again, we're going to be talking some more about what we can do for them. So to me, some of this stuff isn't about being a Republican or a Democrat. Some of it's just about doing what's right for your community. And that, to me, is always the first and foremost thing. So that's all I have on that. And with that, again, Dan, I want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope this helps you in some way to get your name out there a little bit more. Yeah. I know Representative Deal is supporting you, and that's important to me, because if Ed says you're a good dude, you're a good dude.
Right.
Well, I just want to thank you for the endorsement, and also Representative Ed Deal for his endorsement, and it means a big deal to me, and having that support and responsibility. I mean, we want to protect our communities and fight for Oregon, because you know, I've lived here all my whole life. I want to make sure it stays put. Yes, amen to that.
All right, with that said, guys, thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your week. I think the weather's supposed to be better toward the end of the week. I'm actually headed up to Dorchester. I'll be in Welch's over the weekend, which is, I'm looking forward to it, because it's a beautiful place. We have a Republican retreat going on up there. I don't know, if Dan, if you're planning on being there or not, but I think there's going to be a governor debate. I think Ed's going to be there, and Drazen's going to be there, and Dudley will be there. So should be an interesting debate, and I'll bring back some information that I find out from that. So again, thank you. And with that said, everybody have a great week, and we'll see you right here next Tuesday.
Next week.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.